Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you are in healthy condition and stay safe in home for COVID-19. Today, me as the first presenter and my partner is Mbak Anis Asa. We are going to discuss and try to explain about text-based instruction. On other person call it text-based language teaching. Okay, before we start the discussion today, please like, subscribe and comment, because subscribe is free for everyone. Let's check the PowerPoint. Okay, the first one, what is text-based instruction? For the introduction, text-based learning or text-based instruction is an alternative approach to communicate language teaching because a text involves a primary focus on meaning, real-world processes of language use, and any of the four language skills. The four language skill is listening, and then speaking, and then reading, and writing. Okay, before we discuss more about text-based instruction, so what is the text is? A text is an activity where the target language is used by the learner for a communicative purpose or goal in order to achieve an outcome. It is the statement of Willis in 1996. And based on Noonan on 2004, a task of classroom work that involves learners in comprehending, manipulating, producing, or interacting in target language while attention is focused on meaning rather than form. The task should also have a sense of completeness, being able to stand alone as a communicative act in its own right, with a beginning, a middle, and end. And then about the task types. A teacher can give tasks with diagram information, and then with drawing, clock faces, monthly calendar. It should can be as media for text-based instruction, and then we can read the maps, school timetables, program and itineraries, and then train timetables, age and year of birth, and then money. The text that I mentioned can be as the media for the text-based instruction approach. Okay, and then about the characteristic of TBI or text-based instruction. For the first one, students are encouraged to use creatively and spontaneously through tasks and troubleshooting. And then students focus on the relationships that are comparable to real-world activities. And then the third characteristic, submission of a kind of meaning, is central to this method. And then the assessment is based primarily on the result of the task. TBI is centered on students. So in the TBI approach, the student is for individually, and I think it make the student more independently. And then about the teacher roles. In the text-based instruction, the teacher as selector and sequence of tasks, and then the teacher should prepare the learner for the tasks. Okay, for the first one, selector and sequence of tasks, A central role of the teacher is in selecting, adapting, and creating the tasks themselves and then forming this into an instructional sequence in keeping with learner needs, interests, and language skill level. And for the second role, the teacher should preparing learner for tasks. Activity might include topic introduction, clarifying task instruction, helping students learn or recall useful words and phrases to facilitate task accomplishment, and providing partial demonstration of task procedure. So, a teacher in the task-based instruction, they should give like instruction before the teacher give the task, and then after that the student should do the task based on the teacher instruction. Again, then about the learner roles. For the roles, the first one, group participant. Many tasks will be done in pairs or in small groups. So the student can do the tasks in a small group or in a pairs. And then the second, monitor. Tasks are not employed for their own sake, but as a means of facilitating learner. Okay, and the last learner roles is risk taker and innovator. Many tasks will require learners to create and interpret messages for which they lack for linguistic research and prior experience. We are discuss about the procedure of task-based instruction. There are 3 steps. The first one, pre-text, and then task cycle, and then the last about post-test. For the first step is pre-text. In this step, the focus is on the topic, and then there are new structures introduced to the student, and then instruction to do the tasks are given. Okay, in this section, teacher can use the material such as picture or text or song and etc. to lead into the topic, and then teacher also use brainstorming or comparing ideas, and then sharing experiences between student or between student and teacher. And then in the pretext, provide illicit vocabulary, provide a model, and exploit role play, and do a similar task and allow the students time to plan how they do the tasks. Okay, and then the second step for the second step is task cycle. In the task cycle, there are 3 steps. The first task, and then planning and report. Okay, in the task cycle, it can be work in pair or small work, and then introduce a surprise element. And then for the planning, the student should set a time for completing the task, and then vary the number of participants. And after that, the student tell and present a report to the whole class. Okay, and then the last step procedure, the language focus, or it can be post-test. Student give a report and repeat the tasks, and then consciousness raising activities, and then student listen to a recording or watch a clip of fluent speakers doing the same text and compare their text with theirs in a group, and then teacher give feedback and evaluate success of the tasks that they have done. Okay, for the next slide will be explained by Mbak Anis Asa.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning my lecturer and my friends khusus 1 and khusus 2. I will continue to explain about task-based instructions. Before Mbak Tia explain about introductions task-based instructions, and then defining task type, and then characteristic of task-based instructions. But now I will explain advantage, disadvantage, and video analysis about task-based instructions. Okay, first I will explain the advantage of task-based instructions. First, task-based instructions is applicable and suitable for students of all age and background. So, task-based instructions can be applied in the kindergarten and then junior high school and so on. Because in the task-based instructions there are some activities to in the learning process. And then the second, students will have a much more varied exposure to language with task-based instructions. So task-based instructions focus is on process rather than product. And then learners also learn language by interacting communicatively and purposefully while engaged in the activities and tasks. And then students are free to use whatever vocabulary and grammar they know rather than just the task language of the lesson. So the teacher do not make limitations for the students to use a vocabulary and grammar. But the teacher also have to give feedback. Then allows meaningful communications because there are some task types in the task-based instruction. So the teacher and the students can create meaningful communications. And then students will be exposed to a whole range of lexical phrases, collocations, and patterns, as well as language forms. And last, encourage students to be more ambitious in the language. Like that. Then, besides the advantage of the task-based instructions, there are also disadvantage of task-based instructions. The first, task-based instructions requires a high level of creativity and initiative on the part of the task. So in the task-based instructions, the students need to high thinking to solve a task like that. And then task-based instructions requires research beyond the textbooks and related materials usually found in language classroom. And then task-based instructions is not teacher-centered and it requires individual and group responsibility and commitments the part of the students. the rules teacher in the task-based instructions is give a task and then give meaningful activities to do a task, and then also give feedback like that. And the last, there is a race for learners to achieve fluency at the expense of accuracy. Okay. After we explain about advantage and disadvantage in the task-based instructions, we also provide the video about task-based instructions in learning process English learning process in China. Okay, let's see my video, and then I will explain I will explain task-based instructions based on the video. Okay, let's see.
Alright, before the class starts, let's make sure everything is clean. Clean up.
You can sit there if you want.
Everybody, let's clean up. Clean up. Clean up. Put your things away. Clean up. Clean up. Everybody, let's clean up. Clean up. Clean up. Put your things away. Put it in the folder. Okay, everyone, stand up. Stand up. Serena, put it in the folder. Peter, put it in the folder. Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning, teacher Yana. Okay, let's sit down and start our class. Today. Before we start, let's remember our 6 rules. So, what is rule number 1? All together? Speak English. Number 2, raise your hand. Number 3, hands above your head. Listen and look. Very good. How about rule number 4? Excellent. Rule number 5? Are your desks clean?
No.
Is your desk clean? Yeah, everything's fine. Are you ready for the class? So I'll do
My best.
number 1. I'll do
My best.
Number 2. I'll do
My best.
I'll do
My best.
I'll do
My best.
I'll do
My best.
Very good. Good job. So are you ready to start the class?
Yes.
Okay. So before we start, everyone in the middle, let's
Yes.
sing our song.
You are.
Ready?
站好，快点，安站前面，快点。
Skidamarinka-dinka-dink, skidamarinka-doo. I love you.
Together.
Skidamarinka-dinka-dink, skidamarinka-dink. I love you. I love you in the morning, I love you in the afternoon, I love you in the evening, and underneath the moon. Oh, skidamarinka-dinka-dink, skidamarinka-doo. I love you.
Now let's make a big circle. A big, big, big circle. Now face each other. Ready?
Skidamarinka-dinka-dink, skidamarinka-doo. I love you. Skidamarinka-dinka-dink, skidamarinka-doo. I love you. I love you in the morning and in the afternoon. I love you in the evening and underneath the moon. Oh, skidamarinka-dinka-dink, skidamarinka-doo. I love you.
Well done. Let's go back to our seat. Okay, clap 1. Clap 2. Clap 3. Are you ready?
Yes, already.
So right now, let's remember what we do every
放走，张
day.
宇。 放下来。
Speaking.
So in pairs together in your groups, ask each other, what do you do in the morning together? Work together. Ready, steady, go.
What do you do in the morning?
Clap one, clap two, and look at me. Okay, so Angel, tell us about Wendy. Wendy, stand up. Everyone listen and look. So Angel, tell us about Wendy.
In the morning.
Tell us about Wendy. Tell us about Wendy. What does she do in the morning? She
She
brushes her teeth. Very good. Sit down, please. So who can tell me about Serena in your group? What does she do in the morning? She wakes up. Yes, she wakes up. Okay, Bob, what do you do in the morning?
I sit down.
Where?
In the
Oh, you stay at home. You stay at home. Hannah, what do you do in the morning?
I wash my face.
Okay, so that was a warm up. The next question will be for the boys, so you can earn some points. Are you ready for the next one? So in twos, ask each other, what do you do in the afternoon? Ready, set, go! Okay, now let's stand up, please, and remember every day.
站起来，把位置推进去。
Ready?
Alright, here we go. I wake up.
One more time.
I wake up. I wake up. I wash my face. I wash my face. I wash my face. I wash my face. This is what I do when I wake up in the morning.
Yay! Louder!
This is what I do when I wake up. Yay! I brush my teeth. I brush my teeth. I brush my teeth. I brush my teeth. I comb my hair. I comb my hair. I comb my hair. I comb my hair.
Boys!
This is what I do when I wake up in the morning.
Girls! Yay! Boys!
This is what I do when I wake up.
Girls, are you ready for that? Yeah! Now sit down, please. Okay. Now let's see. I see that you know many things we do every day. But if you look around the classroom, can you see many little cards everywhere? How many cards do you think there are? How many? 16? 15? I don't know. So right now, you know what to do. I want the team leaders, stand up. Team leaders. Hannah, Mandy, Jenny, Wendy, and Peter. Good. Now in your folders, find the worksheet. Find these worksheets in your folder and give it to everyone. Okay, are you ready? Wait. Bob, sit down. Wait. Okay, so let's have a look at the worksheet. No. You can read wake up and the gap here. So yes, what we do, I go and find the picture. I find the picture, which I think means wake up, and I see the letter A. So what do I write? A. Do I write here in the box? No. Yes, only in this gap. Are you ready?
Yes.
Ready? While the music is playing, we're ready to go. Go ahead. In your groups. Tell each other. For example, let's say, wake up. Everyone say,
Wake up.
like this. So in your groups, check the answers. Check the answers.
Wake up. Wake
If you know the answer, the whole group must stand up and say the answer all together. Okay, can you do that? Good. So A, who knows the answer? What group wants to answer first? Yes, please, direct. Stand up. A. All together, both. Oh, one more time. Okay, yes, please sit down. B. Yes, please do it. Okay, so but do you know the answer?
Wash my face.
All together?
Wash my face.
So right now, everyone will get a slip of paper. You remember this day, right? You get a slip of paper. Can you look at it?
No.
Yes. Yes, you can. Yes. You read the question and you look at the paper. And what we do next, Jenny? Can you come here, please? So Jenny has a paper. Read what's there. And I have a paper too. So I have. When do you have breakfast?
I have breakfast in the morning.
Okay. What is yours? What is the question? What is the question?
What's this?
Go to bed. Is that right?
Yes.
So now let's swap. And I go and ask other people. Okay? Is that clear? You know what to do?
Yes.
So Hannah, what we will do now? We card. We ask. Yeah, we say the sentence or we ask the question. And what do we do next?
We
swap. Yeah, we swap. Okay. So give me a card. Don't start yet. Don't start yet. Excellent. Now, have you asked your question? What is
thank you for your watching the video, and then next I will try to explain analysis of task-based instructions based on the video. Okay. We know that in the task-based instructions there are consists of sequence of activities, and the first is pre-task, and then the task cycle, and the language focus. Okay. Based on the video, we can see there are some activities is done by the teacher. We are finding 9 activities in the English learning based on the video. First is get ready. Get ready. This is an activity where the students clear their desks and take out stationaries. And then the second, greeting. Teacher and students formally greet each other. Then the teacher asks the students to stand up to greeting. And then rules reinforcement. The teacher elicit classroom rules from the students before to explain the topic in the learning process. And then warm up song. Nah, this is this activity the students sing a familiar song to ensure a smooth transitions into the English lesson, and the teacher asks the students to make a big circle like that, and then control speaking instructions, and then action song, and then the teacher also give instructions that are daily work instructions and mingle and swap instructions, and the last, closing. But in the video there are show the close activity, but in the last video show that at the end of the class, students sings clean up song and say goodbye to the teacher. Okay, then I will explain steps of task-based instructions based on the video. The first, pre-task activity. In this activity, the teacher introduced Unit 7. I think that you also you see in the video in the classroom that the teacher present Unit 7 about daily routines. In this activity, the teachers ask the students to answer the questions about what do you do in the morning in pairs. Then the teacher repeat the questions about what do you do in the afternoon. In this activity, teacher also starts to monitoring the students like that. And the second task, there are 2 instructions in this class. The first, teacher explain the gallery work instructions and give a worksheet to each students. After the students finish the task through gallery work instructions, the teacher also give a mingle and swap instructions to the students. before the students do the instructions, the teacher explain how the students to do in the instructions. And then the next steps is planning. Teacher asks the students to check their answer in groups. Okay, I think that you also see that the teacher ask the students like that. And then report. The students report back to class orally with read their worksheet. Jadi, so the teacher choose the students to read their answer orally. And then analysis. Teacher check their task and give feedback about their answer. They might ask students to notice interesting features within this text. And then the teacher can also highlight the language that the students use during the report pairs for analysis. And the last is practice. This is last of task-based instructions. The students can practice the activity confidently and make a note in their brain that English learning is pleasant. So the students then do practice activities, and then the teacher select language areas to practice based the needs of the students. Okay, there are some steps in the video, based on the video. Okay, in the conclusions from the video, it can be seen that the students will enjoy in the English learning through task-based instructions. The teacher gives explanations, the instructions clearly, so the students can follow the activity easier. The students become more confident in the activity based on the instructions from the teachers. And then the teacher also monitoring the students' activity and give feedback if they feel difficult to do a task. Okay, I think enough for our presentations, and then next to Q&A sections. Okay guys, thanks for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.